We're live, Don.
Yes, sir, we are. Hey, everybody, and welcome into episode number, we're not sure, but we're going to work on that, of the Nerd Ensemble. I'm one of your co-hosts, Mr. Don Kovac, and alongside me is, of course, my more awesomer co-host, Mr. Brett Dean. Brett, how are you, buddy?
Thank you for saying that I am more awesomer. I am not worthy of that title in any form or fashion, but I appreciate you saying it every time, Don. Thank you.
I try to be consistent. You know, we've been doing this show over 2 years now. Try to be consistent with it as
So it's
best I
out
can.
of a feeling of need to, it's a completism thing. Like, we got to do it every time. Brett's not awesome. We've established that. We're just going to.
Which, you know, I don't blame you for the humble. Like, I'm not good at accepting compliments either, and you know, kind of navigating that. That's something I've never been great at. But I definitely feel like that's something that over time, you know, kind of need to work on. But that's okay. You know, that's another show for another time. We are happy to be back here on the Nerd Ensemble, and we didn't necessarily intend on taking the summer off, but
No, it
well,
wasn't
in our
intentional at
last
all. Yeah.
episode, you know, I at least on my end showed the number one reason that some time off was good. And you know, he's a little bigger than he
Yeah,
was then.
tell us what happened, Don. This is pretty
So
exciting stuff.
he's doing good. Of course, you know, I had another son. That's number 3 for me,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, he's doing well. So I'm not concerned about that. We're happy that he's doing well, but you know, it definitely you know, kind of allows priorities to shift and what have you, and um you know, now being back to work and all that, you know, it's just taking some time to kind of regear. That's not a phrase. Trying to get ourselves kind of re-energized a little bit and reset for the year is really, I think, what happened. Of course, Brett can share with you his travails and travels over that time. But it was just nice to really put focus on family and do some recharging over that long break. So, what about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, same thing. It wasn't intentional. You know, we didn't intend to bail on our valued viewers out there. Um, but boy, after the last couple of years of COVID teaching, I think the exhaustion kind of caught up with us. And then you went and had a son on top of it. I can't imagine what your energy level is right now, because I didn't have a son in that
Uh,
time period, and I have no energy at any given moment. So it just became between that and you've got gigs and I've got gigs. And then we did a little
True.
vacation thing. It just, man, oh man, where does the summer even go? That's the
It
bigger thing we need to solve is, where does the summer go?
it goes away is where it goes.
Yeah, yeah, it really
That
does.
that much I can speak to
Mm.
um directly. But that's okay. I mean, hey, I feel ready to go. You sound ready to go. So,
Yeah.
it was a good summer and I think we're excited to be back. And just to pull back the curtain on what Brett and I were working on, um, not that we're trying to necessarily put pressure on ourselves, but we definitely discussed kind of zeroing in on Wednesday evenings as our recording night.
Hmm.
And not every Wednesday is going to work for us, but I think what we'll aim for is we'll aim for at least 2 shows a month. And
Yeah,
if we can get more than that, great. That's the plan. So check the Facebook page, um, and we'll keep you updated as to when we're recording next. What
absolutely.
was the 24th? I think you said was the next one you're aiming for.
I think so, because what
Okay.
happens in between there? Okay. Yeah, a couple different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 24th. The 24th.
So we will put that on our calendar, and Lord willing, we'll be here for you on August 24th, round about 8:30, 9 o'clock Central
Yeah.
Time.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. So, so we got some things to talk about. Certainly on the tech side of things, things were happening this summer. When last we had a show, we were just kind of in the afterglow of the Worldwide Developers Conference, or WWDC, back in June. And of course, here we are now, about 2 months later, and the betas have come quite a ways in certain ways since then.
Can
And
you
we'll
tell
talk a
us
little bit
about,
about that.
since I haven't been part of a beta process in probably 2 years, can you tell us, like, how does that go now? Like, once you get signed up for that, how often do you get the updates? How much improvement do you see from one to the next? Because maybe some people out there would like to be beta testers.
Yeah, well, now's a good time. Of course, one of my treats is I pay for the Apple developer account, with, of course, the intent to actually maybe someday use it. But that's a story for another time. But you would sign up for the Apple developer account, which is a yearly fee. I think it just went up a little bit to, it's like 105-ish dollars. And that pays for the whole year. And then you can download the beta profiles to the devices that you would like to install them on. And generally, when it post WWDC, they generally come out every 2 weeks or so. And over the last couple of years, overall, I would say, I think it was iOS 13 that was really, really, really troublesome. The betas were rough, like all the way through. But after that, last year, I think, was pretty good, and so was the iOS 14 series. So that is one option, and that's, of course, you're kind of right on that cutting edge, because the developer betas are usually available the same day as the keynote. So then you would go ahead and you would install the profile on the device, and then it will automatically restart, and then it will tell you there's, just like a normal iOS update, it will update you in the software update section of settings.
Okay. How specific do they get? Like, do they just say bug fixes, or do they actually get a little bit more specific?
Oh, no, they get very detailed. You can find out, I mean, as far as what they know, you can find out what's been fixed, the known issues, and all of those things. And actually, this cycle was the first time I've actually submitted feedback on both iOS and iPadOS, which is something I hadn't previously done. But it looks like they've sort of streamlined that process this time. So I've really been trying to, when I have crashes, when I've noticed things, submitting feedback to Apple to at least, do my part in that sense.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, I have submitted feedback as part of the Apple beta process too. A few Mac OSs ago, I was signed up, and every new public beta, I would send them a message that says, I strongly object to the bright blue folders.
I don't think they're taking that
they're
feedback
not changing.
to heart.
No. And I
But hey,
think I
good
did that
on
for
you
a couple
for
of years.
doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just do not
Good
like
on
those
you.
bright blue folders, but nope, still haven't changed them.
Nah, it is what it is, buddy.
Yeah.
But hey, at least you're doing your part in that sense, of course. For the last several years, the best way to be heard from Apple in that sense is to have a large Twitter following and go on Twitter and make a stink.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but, I think we're not there yet. Maybe someday, but we're not there yet. So right now on everything, we are on beta 5. I only have iOS 16 on my main phone. Don't do that. Folks, don't do that. I'm doing that,
No,
but
don't
don't
do that.
It's not terrible. It's not bad. The battery life is not bad. It's not good. It's not good at all. And having a 13 mini,
I was going to
the
say,
only
you're
way I
not
can
in a good
imagine it
place to
being
begin with, are you?
better than a 12 mini, but not too much.
Okay.
And the phone definitely does get hot. Not like it gets very warm to the touch. Because it's not usually until the latest betas, the last betas before release, do they really focus on battery life and battery efficiency. So something to keep in mind. I like the new home screens and setting that up. Lock screen customization and the widgets. I have a handful of widgets there. It's showing me my battery for my headphones, an alarm, a calendar, and my activity for the day. Exercise, not so good.
That's pretty
Plus up
nifty.
here
Let's see a little bit more of that. Yeah.
and up at the top there, I've got the weather and the date. I do have
Hey,
multiple home screens set up.
oh, sorry, Don, but show us the battery percentage symbol. Oh, too soon?
Oh, yeah. So as of beta 5, they actually reintroduced the battery percentage on the home screen lock screen for non-mini iPhone 10 series,
That's just
except
mean.
for the 10R and the 11s.
Just mean.
But all the Pro phones going back to the iPhone 10 and the 12, the 10, the 10Ss, the 11 Pros, the 12 series except for the mini, and the 13 series except for the mini. All have that. I'm not sure why. I'm assuming there's it doesn't look good on the mini or whatever. Okay. I have a battery widget anyway, so I'm not terribly worried about it. Plus, you can still find it by pulling down on Control Center, but I was like, oh, that sucks that it's not there. Maybe they'll add it. They did not announce that they were doing this. It caught everybody by surprise, and at least Tech Nerd Twitter that I follow went crazy over this. Oh, it only took you 5 years. Because they
But
did
now, have you
remove
seen
that as of the iPhone 10.
Okay. We've got a little delay here. I'm not trying to talk over you. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
Gosh, I got to find the page. Someone out there right now has already responded to Apple's design and posted some alternative designs because they don't like how it doesn't go left to right and deplete the battery as it goes until it gets down into the red, right?
I believe,
and then
yeah,
it shows
below
the
20%.
little bit. Yeah, it shows the little red icon to the left with the battery percentage, but it doesn't do that. So there are somebody's created an alternative design, and I'd like to show everybody because it's really good, of different ways that could go. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Here,
yeah, I thought that the number one reason for that was the fact that the legibility of the text itself or the numerals themselves. That was what. Yeah, see, legibility, I think is significantly better the way that they have it.
Okay,
And especially
I don't
if it
disagree.
does come to the mini, then that's going to make a difference.
Okay. I don't disagree, but I do miss the battery moving like that. So here's, I think, the best version of that. Let's see if I can make it play here. So I want to get rid of that view replies thing. Let me see if I can reload it and you guys can still see it. Let's get down here. Oh lordy. Okay, where'd my thing go? Sorry, I'm such a pro at this. Battery
Okay,
percentage, battery percentage,
we're
battery
getting into it. We're
percentage.
warming up here.
Is it an older post now just in that time? Or did I just skip past it? There we go. There we go. Nope. 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 We'll talk about that. There we go. Okay. So I think this is maybe the best. Check this one out. What do you think of that one?
I still don't like it.
You still don't like it? What's not to
No.
like? That one looks so good. Okay.
Because
Anyway.
it's harder to read the numbers. And again, like it's not even on the mini. Like if it comes on the mini, like yeah, it's cool, but I don't think it's practical. You know what tells you the battery's draining? The percentage tells you the battery's draining.
Okay.
You know? And of course, there is the option to turn it off. So if you all don't like it, you can turn it off. One thing I should mention, because I don't think I mentioned this part, you can sign up for the public beta as of beta 3. That's when they release public beta 1. You can go ahead and sign up for that for free on the Apple website, and you can get in on this. Usually the public beta builds come out about a day or so after the developer build. So something to keep in mind. So that's something to keep in mind too. And but again, don't put it on. If you have like another iPhone or something kicking around, go for it.
An iPad that you don't use that much is also a good alternative. iPad OS, of course, is slightly different, but I'd say 90% of the DNA is the same, right? So if you want to get some of the new things, maybe put it on that iPad you don't quite use as much. I don't know. There are some iPhone specific things. I can see you shaking your head. I know.
Yeah, you know, I have the iPad OS 16 beta on my 2018 iPad Pro, and it doesn't get the stage manager stuff, which I'll talk about that a little bit in a bit here.
Okay.
It also doesn't get the customizable lock screen stuff. So there's not a whole lot jumping out at me like, oh, I need to do this.
Okay.
So those are the only things that have really jumped out to me so far. But next week I plan on going more in depth with iOS 16. I really want to poke around a little bit more, and I'm going to bring to the show a deep dive. And of course, Brett, if you find yourself on the public beta at that point, would love to hear you chime in on that, especially about the battery percentage.
I'm really tempted to try to put it on my iPad mini and just see where that takes me. See if I can experience some of those things. Now, is Stage Manager, I don't know if you want to get to this yet, is that completely pulled out of iPad OS as of right now? The public betas? Is it?
No.
Okay, it's still in there.
Still in there. But you need an M1 iPad, so basically a 2021 iPad Pro or a 2022 iPad Air in order to actually get access to that. So that you want to keep in mind. Mine being a 2018 doesn't have it.
Okay.
But speaking of which, I did borrow a 2021 M1 iPad Pro 11-inch right after WWDC, and I did install the developer beta on it. And I did play with Stage Manager a little bit, and it is there is a future there, but there's a lot of work to be done with it. Because of size classes, unlike the Mac, where Stage Manager does also exist. On the Mac, you can resize windows to whatever size, and it's adaptable in that way. iPadOS doesn't do that and doesn't have those capabilities. Another thing is the workspaces on the left-hand side. While you can turn them off on an 11-inch iPad, that really took up a good chunk of the screen size. And so it kind of limits the functionality of it a little bit. You can turn it off, so that part is at least nice. There's no rhyme or reason to the order of windows as you open up new windows and all that. There's no real rhyme or reason to it. Most disturbingly and interestingly, between beta 4 and beta 5, no new changes to Stage Manager. They had been making some tweaks here and there, make it more fluid, and still had a ways to go, but to make it more fluid, no changes. Which kind of dovetails to the rumors of that Apple is going to delay iPadOS 16 until more around the release. Typically, iPadOS and iOS have been released at the same time, except for one exception. I think it was 13. But so now they're actually going to more line it up with Mac OS Ventura, which should come
that
out
makes sense. Yeah, so that's not bad in and of itself, because you can get all the Stage Manager stuff conceivably out there at the same time. The only downside is that, well, some of those apps that can share the platform that you'd use on the iPad and the iPhone, that's going to be awkward, because some features are going to be baked into one that are no longer baked into the other, I don't know how they're going to manage that, to be honest with you. That's going to be rough.
That's true. And to add to that, developers who ship a universal iOS, iPadOS app are going to be caught in limbo.
Right.
In terms of iOS 16 comes out, people are going to download those apps. They're going to go on the iPad. They may or may not work. They certainly won't feature all the functionality. The apps might not work as intended. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting fall when it comes to that. But they need the time to really improve Stage Manager, and I really think similar to how they really overhauled focus modes between iOS 15 and iOS 16. And that's something I'm going to talk about more in depth in my deep dive next time, because I'm really digging the focus modes. And I want to kind of go through what I'm doing with them and why I think they're improved. They don't typically release the feature and then really, really do a lot of improvements to it the following year. They did it with focus modes and Stage Manager, given the time frame of things that I can see them going to like a 2.0 for next year, or like 1.5 version of it with a bunch of changes to really make it rock solid. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they handle that going forward.
Yeah, like a get it out the door kind of release, and then the next year is the year where it really starts to get fun. They've done that a lot too. The first release, very shaky, but we need to get it out there. So it's basically like a beta, even if you don't say it is one. It's like, let's see what the app developers say. Let's see if the people like it out there. Another great example of this, and maybe you mentioned it while I was getting some windows in the background ready, was that release of Safari last time, where the public was giving an immense amount of feedback. Like, we cannot use this design. It's beyond bad design. We are not going to get as much work done. This is not workable. And Apple gave the option to toggle that on and off. And to be honest, I don't even know if that toggle is still there. Is it? Because I just always reverted back to the traditional Safari design.
That's a great question. Let's
you know what
get
I
some
mean?
live feedback here. Yeah, I do know
Yeah.
what you mean. I'm gonna look here and see if it. Yeah, so you can still do the compact mode.
Oh, I see.
In under tabs. And that's the only. I think that's really what it is.
I do too. I think that is. I think that's the big
Yeah, 'cause
change.
if I go
I
to
just turned it on, and I was almost going to suggest to you, let's see if we can go a week on the new version, the compact version. But I don't think I can, so I'm just going to not suggest that right now because it looks god awful. It really does.
Yeah, I have heard on several other podcasts I listen to. They're like, yeah, they're probably just gonna pull that out and not say a darn thing about it.
Yep, they're gonna ping it.
Oh, well, at least they announced that was shutting down.
That's
This one,
true.
I feel like they could just pull it out of there and not say a word, and people just be like,
No
"Oh,
one
it's
will
gone," but
notice.
they'll never say anything about it. Yeah. So yeah, that could be a fun little challenge actually to try that. So that's kind of what we've got going on there. In terms of Watch OS 9, I installed it on my third watch, which is no longer my third watch, but I did install it. And really, I like the new notification drop down. It is it's the same sort of little bubble that drops down from the top of the screen. Excuse me.
Whoa, Gesundheit.
That's too.
Whoa, don't explode.
Yeah, really. I do like the new exercise features. That was the number one reason that I did it, is to see the new exercise information, and it is really kind of cool. And it would be even kind of cooler on my Apple Watch Series 7 that I have purchased since our last show.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, and we've talked about this in our super secret chat, but yeah, so I'm that to me is the biggest thing. I don't have the beta installed on this device. But I probably will before too long, so I can get some of that sweet metric stuff in the workouts.
What's your quick hot take on Apple Watch 8? Because I bet a lot of people out there are thinking, should I get a 7 now? Should I wait for the 8? The 8 might have a redesign. It might not. What are you thinking?
I mean, the rumors are saying that it's not going to be that much better. It just might have some new sensors in it, so like a body temperature sensor, and maybe the other sensors will be slightly improved. Yeah, I wasn't planning on upgrading to the 7. I was going to keep my 6. But to me, if there's a year-over-year upgrade device for me going forward, it's probably going to be the watch.
Okay.
Just because the watch, like I like this bigger screen device, and with the rumors of there being like an Apple Watch Pro, with an even larger screen and whatnot, I think that'll be even more and longer battery life. I think that'll be even nicer.
How big can that square get before it starts to look ridiculous on our arms, though? You know?
Hey, man, you go look up some of those Garmin watch designs, and yeah, they're circular, but I mean, I don't care.
They're chunky.
I don't care what it looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, we wear AirPods and they look ridiculous,
True.
so it's just like,
Yeah.
if it's not for you, don't do it. If it is for you, do it and enjoy the heck out of it.
Do you remember the early conceptions of what the Apple Watch might look like, or the Apple Watch 2, before anybody knew anything? And it was sort of curved around the wrist with like a swipeable interface that would go around. Maybe they could revisit that, because I thought that was a fabulous design. That would be really neat.
That is a fascinating design, at least I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, oh, there we go. Okay, so yeah, I feel like the Apple Watch right now is all about iteration and really just kind of focusing in on fitness and
Mm-hmm.
health. Interestingly, we talked about this in our iMessage chat, but I just finished reading the book After Steve, and one of the major things they talked about in the book was they spent time really talking about the development of the watch and really getting into that, how it was really the focus initially was for it to be a fashion device.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that they went away from that and really kind of focused on health and fitness.
I am too. I am too. Do you remember the
Good.
edition watches that were like $17,000 initially? And
Yep.
oh
The
boy,
gold Apple Watch edition, the original, started at 10 grand and went all the way up to 17 grand. Yeah, it's really good that they went away from that for sure. So yeah, I mean, it's never, August is a terrible time to buy an Apple device unless you need it. If you need
mm-hmm.
it, go buy it. The Apple Watch Series 7 it's a really good watch. I really like it. I have the Nike Plus version this time around in the midnight color, the cellular version, because I am one of those crazy people that has cellular active on my watch for
Mm-hmm.
going out and exercising.
Same. I love it.
And yeah, it is really useful. The brighter screen is really nice. And my favorite feature so far is there is an actual swipe keyboard in message replies, and it works. So that's definitely kind of a fun way to kind of handle replying to messages. But so that's all I've got. I'm enjoying it, and I'll certainly have more
Well,
feedback
have
to
you got
go
one
on.
more thing, Steve? One
Oh,
more thing.
hey,
Oh,
look at you,
yeah.
Chief. I did one more quick aside. I did join the iPad Mini Club again for a couple of weeks, and I like it, but it just, I don't have, it didn't fit into my workflow right now. At school it would much more than not, um but I did end up returning it. I did have the cellular model, but I didn't even activate the cellular side of things. Plus, the screen on that, while I love the device, the screen is definitely washed out, even compared to an iPad Pro
Okay.
or an iPad Air. So, small things,
Mm-hmm.
but I definitely could see that being something that they improve on in a future
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
update. So,
I'll agree with, as a mini owner,
yeah.
it's only a consumption device. Don't let the sort of quasi pro design fool you. There are those limitations that Don described, and I can attest to the fact that the screen is pretty washed out in comparison to a lot of other Apple products that you get, and even certainly against something like, and I hate to say it, against something like a Samsung tablet, which has really vibrant colors and always very good screens. That iPad
Mhm.
Mini does suffer on the screen. That's not the one place they seem to have cheaped out. Um, but in terms of like form factor and ruggedness and things like that, it's all up to par with previous iPads. And it's, to me, it's the ideal going to sleep and kind of falling asleep reading something tablet.
Yeah, it really is. I love the fact that I can just throw it in my shoulder bag and it fits perfectly, and I did do that quite a bit.
I'd
And yeah,
imagine if you were on a train a lot, or if you were on an airplane a lot, like, it could be really good. That would be
oh
like
yeah,
a must have. You know what I mean? So,
oh yeah, and the cellular version, because it does have 5G. Like
mhm.
I can, like it makes a much longer lasting hotspot than my 13 mini. So that was another reason that I'd gotten
That's
that
a great
one.
idea. That's a great idea.
So anyway, yes, Brett, I mentioned it in there. You see on the screen, I have, I believe, permanently moved into the MacBook Pro Club here. And of course, it is a bad time to buy a MacBook Pro because rumors are they're going to get updated before the end of the year. But I got a good deal on this device, and with the education discount, where you get the $150 Apple gift card, you know, it's a good deal.
That's a pretty good deal because you get how much do you get off before you get that card? You get a certain percentage off
200,
too, right?
you
200.
get
Wow. Okay.
$200 off,
Plus the
and
gift card.
then
That's
you
pretty
get
good.
the $150 gift card in this case. So yeah, I mean, total value $350. Like, that's, you know, they're going on sale. So check back with me in a month if they announce new MacBook Pros. I'm currently kind of predicting October, but the thing about it is I don't think that the next version is going to be light years better than what we have right now. Sure, the M2 Pro and the M2 Max will be faster. How much faster? 20%. Okay. 20%
Exactly.
is nice.
Exactly.
But, you know, it's in what I'm doing, it's not going to make that much of a difference, and this is just such a wonderful leap forward, even compared to my 13-inch MacBook Pro, which has been passed along and has found itself a nice home. It's currently the
People,
Sims machine.
the year of that big jump in performance is over. Okay, we made that leap. That was the Intel to Apple Silicon year, a year and a
Right.
half, 2 years ago now. Okay, so uh, performance increases of double digits, approaching triple digits. That's all happened. Now we're going to see the 20% year over year increases from one Apple generation to another. So if you do buy in August, like as a back to school thing, Apple notoriously skips the back to school time frame. So everything is a little long in the tooth by the time the school year rolls around, but you still need something if you're going off to college or something. And then they target that holiday spending area. So the new stuff usually comes out in October, stuff like that. So you don't have to really feel bad anymore if you got this year's, M1 Pro, because when that new one comes out, it's not, like Don said, all the major changes were last time. The change in design, they're not going to change that this year. I can't imagine, right?
No. This is gonna be here for a while, and yeah, they'll get little updates. You know, there will be things that it'll be faster. Maybe the HDMI port will be HDMI what is it, 2.1.
Yeah, it might
So
even
maybe
be
it'll
on
be
2.2
capable of
by now. Yeah.
capable of 120 hertz output. But you know, I don't. That's not something I'm going to use, so I'm not really that worried about it. The current predictions are the M2 Pro will have up to 12 cores of CPU and up to 38 cores on the GPU or something like that. So it'll be a nice upgrade, but not so much that it's like, oh my gosh, I gotta have that. And if I do, then I'll figure out some way to earn it. But at any rate, because of course these will fetch a good value on the resale market as well, and so
Yeah. And I'd say
something to
if
keep
you're
in
kind of
mind.
used to back when we were in the Intel days of sort of like the 4 year, 5 year itch, when you've had it for that long, we might be looking at something like a 3 or 4 year itch now, where the performance in a new Mac kind of necessitates you getting one, maybe if you're in the Apple camp. And I would imagine on the Intel side, they're probably still at about, where the performance or some other thing has come along that makes you want to upgrade. Although there's all these rumors now of Wintel becoming more like Windows plus ARM as well, too. I think a lot of a lot of those manufacturers are seeing what Apple can do with ARM technology, and how much faster and more fuel efficient, aka energy efficient, those processors are.
Yeah, definitely, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that's the only way they're going to really kind of move forward into a new era. But I have the 14-inch M1 Pro model here, the with the 1 terabyte hard drive flash storage, and 16 gigabytes of unified memory. So it's faster than my 13-inch MacBook Pro. The screen is so nicer. And the battery life, while not as much as the previous, is still going to be a lot more than any Intel device that I had. And so I'm happy. I think it's a really good device, and I'm enjoying being on. So my you should see some improvement on my video this particular show, because I'm on it right now. I'm not running the macOS Ventura beta. There are some bugs that some folks have been talking about, and so I'm kind of holding off on that. But I am looking forward to trying Continuity Camera when things get ironed out a little bit more. And that's really going to kind of move our video for the show into a new level, hopefully.
Definitely.
And of course, funny you mentioned, as you were mentioning about the back to school period, how Apple traditionally kind of skips over that. Funny enough, I did have the M2 MacBook Air for 2 weeks. And so for folks who may have missed that, the MacBook Air has now fully been redesigned for the Apple Silicon era, and was released a few weeks ago. And I did manage to grab a 8 gigabyte unified memory, 512 gigabyte storage option MacBook Air in the midnight finish. And I like the finish so much. If you don't like fingerprints, stay far away. If you don't care, the color was awesome. I didn't care.
Oh my gosh, that color. Yeah.
It's really, really good.
How does it compare to the dark blue on your watch? Just out of curiosity.
Well, it's the same finish, because my watch is the midnight finish, but it's like I don't even notice it on the watch at all. I noticed it very much on the MacBook Air, and that other than the fingerprints, but again, don't care. Just they're there, whatever. What I care is if they're on my screen, but that's a different story.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, the finish was great. The MacBook Air itself is thinner than the bottom case of this 14-inch MacBook Pro. The entire computer. So there's your thin. Oh, excuse me.
Oh no.
There is your thin laptop. It does not have the wedge shape anymore, which fine, goodbye. It does look like the younger sibling of the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros now.
Well, that's cool. Yeah.
One important disclaimer: nobody should buy the base model $1199 M2 MacBook Air, because what Apple did was they switched from a two individual flash storage modules to one single flash storage module inside the device. So whereas on M1 generation devices and on the 512 and up models, those computers go up they work in parallel, so they're saving to 2 different storage drives, double the performance on many functions. So if you can afford to go up to the $1499 model, you're going to get a much faster computer. Or the M1 MacBook Air is still for sale, starting at $999 or $899 for education. Just go with that. It's still a really great computer. Brett, you can attest to that.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder why they released the M2 as they did. Some people are blaming supply. Yeah, supply constraints led them to make that. Yeah, make that decision for that base model.
Yeah. So that's a word of it. But otherwise, a really nice redesign. The brighter screen. The screen looks so much better. It's a little bit bigger than your M1 MacBook Air, and more colorful. So that to me is the go-to recommendation for most people now. It's just a matter of, can you go up to $1499, or if not, just go to the $999 MacBook Air M1 version, and you're in great shape.
Absolutely. So, well, Don, I think I'm gonna save my my Mac Studio. I guess this would be my 10,000 mile review of the of the Mac Studio. You know what I mean? Yes. So I think we'll save that for next time, because it'll be the 15,000 mile review, and I think that'll be good. I haven't used it as much in the last little bit. Because
you've been traveling.
We've been in summer mode,
Right.
Been in summer mode. But I love this setup. Let me spoiler alert. I love this setup right now. This is my favorite Mac setup I've ever had, except for this damn webcam. Except for this damn webcam, it is
looking better. You're right.
It's looking better because it's not zooming in or doing anything dumb right now. It is just giving us the nice 1080p picture right there. But anywho, what are we looking forward to in the next little bit? Anything that you see happening before we come back in a couple weeks?
Well, I am, like I said, I'm kind of excited about, I don't foresee anything new on the horizon. We're still a month out from the September event, and new iPhones and probably new watches and whatever else they throw at us. Hopefully new AirPods. So maybe we can talk about that a little bit at the next show. But I'm definitely excited to poke around more in iOS 16 and bring you all some more usable information with that.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be great, actually.
And of course, because hearing about your 15,000 mile review.
And maybe, just maybe, we'll bring back a little bit of Don and Brett's car talk.
Oh, yeah, Car Corner.
I can't call it that. That's probably copyrighted. I mean,
that's probably
car conversation.
Car speak.
Car speak.
Or Car Corner. Or we had we had a name for it. We got to go back and figure out what it was. I know. Yeah, that'd be fun because we certainly nerd out on that quite a bit in our iMessage chat, don't we?
Absolutely.
So yeah, we're gonna have a packed episode next time. So like I said, look for us around August 24th. Check the Facebook page, like the page, share it with your friends. We appreciate all the feedback and all the interaction with the show, and we are looking forward to an awesome couple of weeks.
All right. Well, we'll see you then, Don. Actually, I'll see you tomorrow. But we'll see everybody out there in the interwebs with us here in a couple weeks.
That sounds great, man. All right. Thanks, everybody. And we'll talk to you soon. Peace.